What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy Big Metro Fan 12 coming to you with another video game review. And in this review, I'm going to talk about the game The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was released on the Super Nintendo by Konami and on Sega Genesis, Sega CD, and Sega Game Gear by Sega. And all the versions are based off of the hit animated show that came on back during the 90s, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. You know, and and for the sake of this review, I'm going to talk about the Sega Genesis version and the Super Nintendo version. Now, the plot of both versions are pretty much rooted in the animated show. You know what I'm saying? The plot of the Super Nintendo version is that Batman and Robin are going after the Joker, and they run up against different enemies in the game, like Mad Hatter, Two Face, and different enemies like that. And this one is more loosely based off of the show than say the Genesis version is. And then in the second Genesis version, Batman and Robin are on a mission to stop Mr. Freeze from freezing Gotham City in one block of ice. You know what I'm saying? And Mr. Freeze also released the Joker, Two Face, and Mad Hatter, who all got their own agenda. So you got to deal with them also. You know what I'm saying? The Genesis version, at least. Now, the Super Nintendo version has 8 stages. You know what I'm saying? Where you got to fight different thugs and stuff like that throughout the game. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much before you start each stage, you pretty much select different gadgets and stuff before you start the stage, like bombs, and X-ray lens, and stuff like that. There are going to be specific gadgets that you're going to need for a specific stage. You know what I'm saying? So you make sure you have the right gadget for each stage, of course. You know what I'm saying? And like you might need the bomb for one stage and the X-ray glasses for another stage and stuff like that. And the enemies in the game, as far as the Super Nintendo version, is very like dependent on which stage that you're on. You know what I'm saying? For example, you'll fight clowns and clowns with guns on the first stage and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, the Genesis version has pretty much 4 stages that's divided up into sections, you know what I'm saying? You can pretty much play as Batman or Robin, you know what I'm saying, who use like different weapons and that, and plus they have their own like martial art moves that they use, you know what I'm saying? The Genesis version, unlike the Super Nintendo version of the Adventures of Batman and Robin, is that the Genesis version has pretty much a two-player co-op where you can have somebody play with you, where one plays as Batman and Robin, of course, you know what I'm saying. In that regard, you know what I'm saying. And I've noticed that that the Super Nintendo version has more characters from the Batman universe than the Genesis version do. The Super Nintendo version has the Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Clayface, the Man Bat, you know what I'm saying, Alfred, and other characters like that. While the Genesis version is practically limited to like the Joker, Two-Face, Mad Hatter, and the Joker, stuff like that. So not that big of a deal if, like for me, you know what I'm saying. It's just something that I noticed. You know, as far as the graphics and design of the game go, it is very good and it has excellent color palette. You know what I'm saying. And the design and graphics of both the Super Nintendo version and the Sega Genesis version are very consistent with the Adventure of Batman and Robin animated show. It's safe to say that the other versions pretty much has the same design of the show too. You know what I'm saying? It's very consistent. As far as the controls and gameplay are concerned, they're very good. You know what I'm I'm saying? Both the Super Nintendo version and the Sega Genesis version are good, you know what I'm saying? But me personally, I prefer the Super Nintendo version of the Adventure of Batman and Robin in regards to the gameplay, because Batman pretty much isn't as reliant on his weapons and gadgets as he is in the Genesis version. You know, now the soundtrack is very good. I pretty much like the soundtrack from an overall standpoint. Don't have any big time complaints with it, and I do like the fact that the theme for the Adventures of Batman and Robin theme is part of the soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? That get big thumbs up for me. You know what I'm saying? And far as any gripes are concerned, they're not worth mentioning because they're pretty much minor. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would definitely recommend the Adventures of Batman and Robin to anybody who's a Batman fan. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they watch the animated show during the '90s. You know what I'm saying? And anybody who is a retro gamer. You know. So, but from overall perspective, you can't go wrong with any specific version from overall perspective. If you're going to get the like the Sega CD version or the Super Nintendo version, whatever the case, this is pretty much a good game. You know, as far as the score, I definitely give it a 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? It really comes down to personal preference in terms of which one you want to buy. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the Super Nintendo version or Genesis version, stuff like that. You know. Now, with that being said, sound off in the comments section about the adventures of Batman and Robin for the Super Nintendo Genesis, Game Gear, and the Sega CD. You know what I'm saying? Whether you prefer the Genesis version or the Super Nintendo version, you know what I'm saying? And if you like this video, don't hesitate to click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off.